Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Temple Terrace Public Library Summer Reading Arts and Crafts. I'm Miss Susan, and I'm really glad you've joined me today to make a boa constrictor. I've got my pet boa constrictor right here, and I'm going to show you how I made him. And I've got lots of good books to show you afterwards. You'll need some paper. You can use whatever colors you want, but I had several different colors of green, and so that's what I used. First of all, you'll need to cut them into strips, and I'd say maybe 1.5 inches wide, like that. And you'll need a whole bunch of them, probably at least a dozen, maybe 15. So go ahead and cut your strips, but you'll want to leave at least one of the strips kind of wide, like this, because you'll need it to be able to cut the face and the tail. So, so you'll need 2 wide ones. Let me go ahead and leave these 2 the same color for the tail and the head. And that way you can have your snake flat and the tail is at one end and his head is at the other end. And he can lay flat like that. So, what you'll need too is some tape, or you can use a glue stick, and you'll need a marker and some red paper as well, and your scissors. All right, let's get started. So if I'm going to use the dark green for the head, I'm going to go ahead and cut a little rounded end, and then his body ends up skinnier like the rest of the chain that I was making, or the rest of the strips of paper, but the very end will be his head, like that. And then the tail is going to be the same color. I'm going to fold it in half like this so that I can cut a triangle on the end, and I can make it pointier and pointier as I go. And that way I can take my glue stick or tape and put these 2 pieces together at the very end once I've made my paper chain snake. So I'm going to set those 2 pieces aside, and now I'm going to start putting together my little loops. So I'm going to fold them over, just wrap them around, and I'm going to use tape just so I don't have to worry about it drying while I'm showing you how to do this, and that makes it easy and quick. So I've got my circle, and I think I might use 3 colors this time. I'm going to take another strip of paper and just thread it through that first loop, and now bring it around and make a circle. And tape it. And I'm going to keep going. I think I might do light and then dark, light, dark, and just make it variegated that way, the colors. And light is next, and then dark. And you could do any pattern you would like. You could do 2 light ones. Maybe I'll do that now. Put a light and a light. And actually your head and your tail wouldn't have to be the same color if you don't care if they match or not. But if you do want them to match, then you'll need to think about that when you're cutting your head and your tail. So that's getting pretty long. I think I'm going to keep going a little bit more. And you know, snakes can be very beneficial. They eat rodents, and they are helpful on farms because they keep the rodents down, the mice that might get into the grain in the barn. And they're not all poisonous. So it's good to find out what kind of snake you're seeing, if you happen to see a snake, and realize that a lot of them are friendly and not poisonous. Most of them aren't poisonous. All right, I've got quite a chain going there. I'm going to add a few more, just a few, and I'm just threading it through and then folding it over and putting a piece of tape to hold that link. So it's a chain, a paper chain. And thread it through, fold it around, and put a piece of tape to hold it. And now I might have it long enough where I can go ahead and put my face on. Here's the little head. I'm just going to thread it through like I did the other pieces, roll it around, and I'm going to put a little piece of tape underneath to hold that together, or you could use the glue. There we go. And I'll be decorating his face in just a second. Let me go ahead and put his tail on the end. And I'm going to just thread it through the same way. And now I'm going to take my glue stick and put the two ends together. So I'll just coat the point of my tail there with glue, just that pointy part. And this way I can bring this other end around and put them together, and they'll stick and make a nice tail. If you want it to be a rattlesnake, you could put little lines there, but mine's a boa constrictor. And I'm going to put eyes, and he'll need a little red forked tongue. So I'm going to use my marker and make two eyes. And now I'm going to cut out his tongue. I've got some red paper here, and I'll just need a small piece. And then I'm going to cut right there in the middle of it and make a little fork. Let's see there. Just like that. And I can tape it to the underside of his head. Just turn it over. And there he is. So that's my paper snake. And you could make him really, really long. You could keep adding lengths. Doesn't have to be this long at all. It could be even longer or a little shorter. It could be a baby snake or a big, long papa snake. Let me show you some books that we have. One of my very favorites is called Crichter by Tommy Ungerer. And this is an old story that I used to read as a child, but it's still a great story. It's about an old lady who actually still teaches school, and her son works far away. I believe he works in Africa, and he sends her a boa constrictor for her birthday. And of course it comes in this O-shaped box, and when she opens it up, she's very surprised. She screams, but she ends up really loving her snake and naming him Crichter because he's a boa constrictor and they rhyme. She ends up knitting him this long skinny sweater. She takes him to school. He sits in a desk with all the other children. He actually helps them by making numbers with his body, and he actually solves a crime at the end. So you'll have to come to the library and check out Crichter to find out what that crime is and all the other fun things that happen in this story. And then there's another funny boa constrictor story, The Day Jimmy's Boa Ate the Wash. This is by Trinka Noble, and the pictures are done by Stephen Kellogg. They're very, very good. And of course, if you read this, you'll find out all the fun adventures that happen on a field trip to the farm when Jimmy's class goes to the farm and he takes his boa constrictor. And then there's a sequel, Jimmy's Boa and the Bungee Jump Slam Dunk, also by Trinka Noble, and the pictures are by Stephen Kellogg, and lots of fun adventures happen in this with that boa constrictor. I've got several copies of Crichter, and then if you want to get a nonfiction book, of course there's others that I just mentioned were fiction, but if you want a nonfiction book about boa constrictors, you can find out all kinds of facts about what they eat, where they live, how long they can get, and this one's by Rebecca Hirsch. We've got Snakes by Katie Cadella, and this one tells about lots of different kinds of snakes. I'm going to take you for just a second over to our nonfiction section and show you a snake that we have dangling up above our books. And when you come to the library, just look up above to find that snake, and if you spot him, then you'll know on the bottom shelf down below is where all the snake books are, and that'll make it easy for you to find them. So come with me, let me show you the snake hanging in the nonfiction section of the library. And did you happen to notice the big snake mural on the wall that was right behind me while I was doing our craft? Well, let me take you over past our Jack and the Beanstalk stalk, and just over here in the nonfiction section you will see our boa constrictor. He's marking the spot, and then if you look down below you'll see all those slinky snake books. So come visit us at the library. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.